The final class for us to discuss in my mini-series is the engineers of Battlefield 2042, namely Liz, Crawford and Boris. Traditionally, the engineer class was my go-to in previous Battlefield titles, and I always had the most enjoyment from taking down enemies in vehicles, probably because at the time it was when I felt that only in Battlefield moments really shine through. Hopefully, with a renewed emphasis on the engineer class, this may make this come to life again, but taking rockets out of the hands of specialists like Sundance I do think is a bit of a shame. As we've been made aware, each engineer will have access to the repair tool as a unique gadget separate to the other classes in 2042, but given the way I play this game and my approach to being successful and aggressive as an engineer, it's unlikely I'm going to spend a lot of time repairing vehicles personally. Also, all engineers will have improved LMG dispersion when either crouched or prone. Now, to me this does bring back the fear of Battlefield 5 MMGs once again, and is definitely not how I play 2042, but I do intend to play with some LMGs across these classes, mainly because I think they work well in tandem with the specialists in question, not because I intend to lie prone around the map. With this in mind, let's get into my thoughts on Liz and how I want to kit her out going forward. First things first, Liz isn't having as much of a dramatic change as some of the other specialists, as she still has her own rockets available and thus negates the options to attach any others as alternatives. Therefore, there's only a fraction of equipment you can potentially run on her in comparison to both Crawford and Boris. However, I think I've found an effective primary weapon which allows me to stay in the fight, hold enemies at bay and give her time to utilise her rocket launcher effectively. The XM8 is a great choice to run with Liz for a variety of reasons, the main one being that it has minimal recoil in comparison to a lot of the other LMG counterparts. Because of this, I typically run the Cobra Red Dot sight as it provides clean visuals for me when firing at enemies from short to even verging on long range. The only other option I really have attached is the bipod, as this doesn't cause any decrease in overall weapon stats and can be helpful if you're holding an angle with the XM8. Unfortunately though, due to the XM8 being a vault weapon, there are not many more options for attachments. However, this makes it much easier to pick up and play with, so please give it a shot and let me know what you think. As mentioned, Liz's rockets take priority, so I had to do a bit of thinking around the other equipment I wanted to utilise going forward. Now, because for the majority of 2042 I've played Breakthrough, I think the anti-tank mines are actually going to be quite a useful choice for me, especially when playing on the defensive side. This is because I can place these in clear vehicular choke points on maps, especially the more recent additions to the game or the reworks. Not only will this help myself and my team potentially take out vehicles immediately, it can also allow me to follow up with rockets and hopefully claw my way to the Liz tier 1. In terms of throwables, I think the frag has to be the pick here. The more explosive ordnance the better. Crawford is an interesting specialist, given the fact that he's only recently being moved over to the engineer spot instead of the main man Irish. As you can see, even the gameplay in this video still shows Crawford as a medic with the symbols popping up all over, so I had to think about how I'd expect to play him once the change came into effect. I've actually opted for another LMG for Crawford as well, however this one has definitely been more prevalent on the battlefield for a while. The Avances was introduced alongside Crawford in Season 2, so I thought it was pretty apt that I've built a class involving both here. To start off, I'm using the UH1 Smart 1.5x holographic sight, because I found that I've been more accurate at medium range engagements while using it, and this is where I see this class being most effective. For the mag, the standard extended magazine is my first choice for most situations, and typically I don't stray from this very often, if ever, because I just like the fact I don't have to reload anywhere near as often. Grip wise, the BCG light grip for the extra ADS accuracy is normally my primary pick, because I spend most of my time aiming with the Avances. However, you can definitely switch up to the Cobra grip or LWG grip depending on the map, mode or your own playstyle. Lastly, to reduce that recoil even further, the Champion muzzle brake does an excellent job of helping me keep my shots on target and the weapon from bouncing around too much. Of course, Crawford has to have some kind of explosive equipment, and what better than the recoilless M5 to get those rockets off quickly and effectively when attacking or defending an objective. And again, you can't play any engineer without having a frag grenade in your hand, in case you might need to take out some infantry or maybe even finish off a vehicle. Lastly, I typically see Boris as being a very static specialist, holding down objectives with his turret, essentially verging on camping. So I've tended to steer clear of using him personally, and this is really the first time I've actually considered how I would play him and get the most out of his kit. And to be honest, I think I've found a playstyle which is more offensive for Boris and actually utilises his turret in a more aggressive way. To go along with this, I'm also running an SMG rather than an LMG to take advantage of this aggression. Specifically, I've chosen to run the K30 while playing as Boris, especially for when playing as the attacking team on Rush or Breakthrough. The high fire rate and spraying ability the gun offers you is great when pushing these objectives and getting up close to the enemy team, which is why it's been so popular throughout 2042's life cycle so far. For a start, I'm running the XDR Hollow sight on the K30. K30, mainly because it feels more comfortable to me when using this, and I feel like I can manage the recoil more successfully. Of course, the only mag that you should be considering is the drum magazine. You're going to be putting out a lot of fire with this gun, so having a larger mag is going to be the best option. For the grip, we actually do have a couple of different options. Either the BCG light grip if you're firing it slightly beyond a close range engagement, or alternatively the LWG grip for the improved movement accuracy. Regarding muzzle attachments, I've actually gone with the Arcom tactical muzzle brake. I want to reduce the horizontal recoil of the K30, meaning that I only have to really concentrate on pulling the SMG down rather than adjusting across both horizontal and vertical recoil. Again, with Boris being an engineer, I want to be effective at taking out vehicles, so either the recoilless M5 or Javelin, to be added into All Out War with the update, are great choices. As per usual, the frag grenade is the only option I think it's worth going with as a throwable, not only to help take out infantry and vehicles, but also to open up attacking routes on some objectives too. So that about wraps up the last of my class breakdowns ahead of update 3.2. With any luck, this update is going to be coming out on the 31st of January, next Tuesday, and I'm excited to see how this is all going to play out alongside the new Breakaway rework. Let me know down below if you think you'll give any of these loadouts a try, or if you have any suggestions on what I can use too. For more 2042 content, make sure to subscribe. As always, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks again for your time. I look forward to catching you all in the next one.